Alright guys, welcome back again. We've got a 2014 Subaru Outback. Once again, the diagnosis is already done. I want to show you what it does. It starts up. So this is a 2-litre turbo diesel EE20 engine. So that's just running normally. See there, we're cold. That's all it does. It just stalls after a few minutes. Oh, not a few minutes, what am I talking about? Maybe 30 seconds. So let me start it up again. You see it in action twice in a row. Same thing. And what you'll find is when you get it warm, or you know, if you hold the revs up, I'll show you that. Let me do it one more time. And now this time I'll hold the revs up. As you can see now, if I hold the revs up, it won't stall. It actually revs okay. And you find that once it gets warm, it will actually idle, not fantastically, but it will idle on its own and it won't actually stall. So I could hold this forever and it'll be no problem, but as soon as I let off, let's see what it does. There you go. So what it is there's no codes, but we know from experience and we know throughout the networks that these timing chains stretch on these engines, and there's no codes or anything. So we just did a cam and crank correlation. We've got a known good from the TAT website. I'll show you what it is. Obviously you can see we've got the old timing chain engine. So we get I'll get the known good up and I'll show you how it compares to our cam and crank sensor. We can see, I'll get a light and I'll show you where the cam and crank sensor are. So if you look, you can probably see the bolt. You probably can't even see it down there. Maybe it's better there. You can probably just see it there. I'll circle it so you can see it. Just under this little bypass coolant hose. And our crank sensor, I can't show you it because it's in an absolute pain in the ass spot. It's right under the intake manifold, about this area here, and you can't really get to it without taking the intake manifold off. So we traced the wiring and we actually got it in the loom up here and we're able to connect to it. So we did the cam and crank correlation and we compared it to the known good, and I'll get that up on the screen and I'll show you.
Alright guys, as you can see here, this is what we're looking at. We're looking at the blue channel on the known good. That's our cam sensor, and we're looking at the green channel below, which is our crank sensor. And as you can see here, the missing tooth gap, here missing tooth gap, here missing tooth gap. So what I want you to look at is I'll put a ruler here where the start of the tooth gap is and where it actually corresponds to on the cam sensor. And so that's the TDC reference mark, and we're looking at where it lines up there, and then we go to the middle point where the second TDC mark on the crank is lining up. And as you can see here, it's basically just inside this part here. So keep that in mind, and let me show you our particular capture. So you know, bear in mind that these are the original known good two colors, but we've just changed the colors on ours. So we've just used our blue and red lead, but the channels are the exact same. So if we go to ours, as you can see here, now if you pictured where those rulers were on the other one, and if you look at these, look at where ours is way back here, and on the known good it's more about over here. And same thing, it's more about inside here. So just keep that in mind, and I'll just hover between both of them and you can see. So you can see ours, and then you can see the known good. And then we'll go back to ours, and you can see the difference badly. So it's out quite badly, and we know we've proved 100% that this timing is definitely out, and as commonly known as a stretch chain. So unfortunately, the customer's up for the front cover off and the timing chain replacement.
So yeah, that's where it's at, guys. Unfortunately, this wasn't the full diagnosis and showing you how we connected the cam and crank sensor and all that sort of stuff, but it's just a common problem. We know that the timing chain stretches on these and it causes a stall on cold start, and eventually it gets worse and may stall when it gets warm too. But it's a telltale sign. If you've got no codes on the dash, no lights at all, and you've got a stalling issue on one of these diesel 2 litres, then definitely get a cam and crank correlation test done, because obviously the only other way to test it for sure is to pull the timing cover off, but that's a lot of work. It's pretty simple to do a cam and crank correlation to prove it before you actually have to decide to pull the covers off or not. Thanks for watching, guys. See you next time.